Venamataji, Hare Krishna. Nice to see humble obeisances to you, Mataji. How's the audio?
Perfect.
Oh, I can't hear you though. Oh, hold on a
Oh,
second. That's good. I'm testing this. Okay, let's try that again, Mataji.
yeah, I can hear you perfectly. You hear me okay?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you
Okay,
so
great.
much. Yeah. So we'll wait for Gurudev to get on and then I'll just
Yeah,
say a few words, brief
Haribol.
introduction. Haribol. Thank you for being with us, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Where's that? This is being broadcast from that camera.
From that camera, yeah.
I thought that we had those stairs and a big part of the kitchen.
I don't know, maybe. Can you see Padar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Gurudev.
Hare
Humble
Krishna.
obeisances to you.
My obeisances, all the Shri Prabhupada. Haribo, my obeisances to all of you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Can you hear us?
Yes, thank you. So please let me
So,
know when we can get started. Yes.
yeah, I'm sorry for the late start, Gurudev. I just want to share a few words about you before we get started. If you would allow me to do that, I'd
Sure.
be humbled to do that for you. First, I will say that there are a handful of us in this home today that were fortunate enough to meet His Grace Madana-gopāla back in April earlier this year, and that is Mahima, Nelson, myself, Vamsi Prabhu. Where are you, Vamsi? Vamsi, and his wife Kalpana, and Eddie, and Eddie was there as well. And the six of us have requested his shelter, and we are so fortunate and as fallen souls to be able to have Gurudev in our lives, leading us into spiritual knowledge and to be able to become closer to Krishna through his guidance. And so we're fortunate to have Gurudev with us today to be able to share a few words and for you all to get to know who he is and why we love him so much. A little bit about him. He joined the ISKCON International Society for Krishna Consciousness in 1991 in Nairobi, Kenya, where he was also born and raised. He had served over the years as the Education and Temple Management Director at ISKCON of New Jersey, where he currently lives. He's also a graduate of the GBC, the governing body Commission College of Leadership, and currently serves as the North American co-director of ISKCON Communications. And he currently lives in Parsippany, New Jersey, with his wife Manasi Ganga Devidasi and son Madhav. And he also works as an IT manager at a global hedge fund. So you've heard he has his hands in many things, and what we're so blessed with Gurudev, and for all of you to know that although his hands are in many things, what Gurudev is always able to do is to be able to make himself available to his disciples, and certainly we're fortunate to be able to have him guiding us with his wisdom and his leadership and also his mentorship. So Gurudev, we're very happy to have you with us tonight, sharing your wisdom with everyone in the room. Welcome, His Grace Madana-gopāla.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ferdie Prabhu, and my obeisances to all of you. It's an honor to be with you. I can see Balaram Prabhu. Hi, there's Ferdie. Balaram Prabhu, my obeisances. I think back there, if my resolution is good, that's Mukunda Charan Prabhu. Back against the wall, is that? Yes. The resolution is
I'll
not...
let you span. I'm going to span the room very quick, Gurudev.
Wonderful. Jai, wow. Hare Krishna. I have a full house, my obeisances. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for this. I see Eddie back there. Thank you, Ferdie Prabhu. Yes, so thank you, Ferdie and Eddie, for hosting this wonderful evening. I was asked by you to say some words on the topic of Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON. I thought it's very pertinent, very relevant. We're celebrating in just a few more months, really, the 60th anniversary of the formation of ISKCON. So it's a big deal. And I think it's always good to appreciate Srila Prabhupada. The idea of how one person's faith can become a universal spiritual movement is quite amazing. If someone were to ask us today, what does it take to change the world? Most of us would think of power or money, influence, or just massive numbers of followers. But history tells us a different story. The greatest transformations don't begin with institutions. They begin with conviction. So tonight is not simply about remembering one remarkable historical figure. It's about understanding why his message worked, why it still works, and why it continues to speak to the deepest longings of the human heart. This is a story of Srila Prabhupada, a story of a timeless philosophy that refuses to remain in the past. If we analyze this whole movement honestly, ISKCON should not exist, but it does. A traditional Indian spiritual tradition with vegetarianism and Sanskrit mantras and monk life and renunciation and worship of exotic, colorful deities, and it should not have spread to New York, to Moscow, to Nairobi, or Sao Paulo, or London, or rural America. And yet it did. Not through force, not through political power, not through big money, but through meaning. This discussion is not just about Srila Prabhupada. It's about why what he brought resonates with the human heart. Everywhere. So when Srila Prabhupada, you can imagine this elderly 70-year-old Indian monk, when he stood alone on the deck of a cargo ship, this was in 1965. The ship was called the Jaladuta. This is leaving from India and coming to America for the first time. There were no disciples waving goodbye, no institution backing him, no certainty that he would even be allowed to stay in America. He was almost 70 years old, and he's leaving his country for the first time in his life. I mean, just think of it, the psychology of that scene. And then on top of that, halfway across the Atlantic Ocean, he suffers 2 heart attacks. Now, most of us at that moment given the whole historical backdrop and the limitation of the time and just the circumstances, we would interpret this as a sign. Go back. You tried. Good. Go back. But Srila Prabhupada did something else. He went to his tiny cabin on the ship. He sat down and wrote a prayer. Not a dramatic one, not even a confident one, really. It was a helpless one. He wrote that he had no qualification. He said that he had no strength or ability. But he begged Krishna simply to make him speak what Krishna wanted to be spoken. He said, you give me the power to speak so these people can understand. That moment tells us everything. ISKCON did not begin as a strategic plan. It began as surrender. Then when Prabhupada finally came to New York, he started, gathering interest. People were curious but suspicious. Reporters would ask him, are you here to convert Christians? Are you spreading Hinduism? Prabhupada did not argue theology, or he didn't go with his isms. He smiled gently and said something radical. He said, I did not come to to make people in America Hindus. I came to teach them how to love God. This is not rhetoric. This is the essence of what he really wanted to do. It was not something that a hidden agenda. This is my main agenda. I want to teach you what love of God means. And then years later, disciples they recall that he actually discouraged cultural imitation. It wasn't about imitating. Even when early devotees began to wear Indian clothes without understanding the philosophy, he was saying, it's okay, you don't have to imitate this. First become Krishna conscious, culture will follow. So, why does this matter philosophically? ISKCON begins with identity, not ethnicity. Ethnicity has nothing to do with it. And that's why it works everywhere. It is universal. In San Francisco, during the height of the hippie movement, the counterculture movement, Prabhupada was surrounded by young people obsessed with freedom. One hippie just asked him bluntly, Swamiji, why do you restrict sex? Why do you restrict drugs? Isn't freedom the goal of spirituality? I mean, we want to be more free, not less free, right? Prabhupada did not moralize. In this exchange, and by the way, all these exchanges are there in this really nice book called Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. It's an official biography of Srila Prabhupada. Nice 6-volume set. You can get it in 2-volume set as well. And there's some beautiful stories in there. So in this one, I read this story. The hippie is asking him, isn't freedom the goal? Prabhupada leaned forward and asked him, who are you? And the hippie laughed. He says, I'm me. And Prabhupada said, no, who is this me? And the room went silent. People wondering, what kind of question is that? And Prabhupada explained slowly. He said, you are speaking of freedom for the body, but you do not know the owner of the body. You don't have any idea what you're talking about. That perspective, that conversation changed lives. See, because ISKCON does not say, give up pleasure. ISKCON says, understand who is experiencing the pleasure. That insight, it transcends culture. So the truth that you find in ISKCON's teachings, Prabhupada's teachings, in the teachings of the Gita, it begins with a truth that's so simple, yet so revolutionary. You are not the body. We've heard this a million times. You are the soul whose primary symptom is consciousness. You are the embodiment of consciousness. You're not the body. Because every human being, regardless of religion, culture, politics, race, background, language, every human being experiences thoughts. Every human being experiences emotions and desires and fears and longing. But we all observe these, which means the observer is different from what is being observed. That perspective is actually quite radical. So Prabhupada did not ask people to believe this blindly. He didn't like, you better believe it or you're going to go to hell. He wasn't into that at all. He says, try to understand this perspective. It's not about belief. You'll notice if you read Prabhupada's words and if you read his books or you listen to his lectures, he didn't get into the emphasis of belief. Because he would say, you may believe something that's true or not true, but truth will remain the truth, whether you believe it or you don't believe it. So belief is not really that important. What's important is grasping the truth and seeing how it makes sense in the world. So Prabhupada didn't ask people to believe this blindly. He did ask them, though, to test it through introspection. Reflect on this reality, on this perspective. Really think about it deeply and see if it aligns with what you see in the world. See, this is why ISKCON philosophy feels liberating, not oppressive, because it's always asking you to test it out for yourself. Think and look and see and how it aligns. Because once you understand, I'm not my race, I'm not my profession, I'm not my bank balance, I'm not even my failures, then suddenly life becomes meaningful again. I mean, just this truth, just this perspective has saved countless of people from the depths of despair. I'm not these things. I'm something way more than this. A lot of the times, because we've forgotten this, we really crush ourselves with a complete misunderstanding of who we are. So that's the first universal truth, is you're not this body. This is foundational to understand spiritual life. This is foundational to have some sense of liberation, which is really our constitutional position, is to be free. See? The second universal truth, the ISKCON philosophy makes another radical claim. Okay, I'm not this body, I'm the soul, fine. But the soul by nature is relational. Relational means we're not meant to be isolated units. We're not meant to be alone. We're meant to love and we're meant to be loved. If you take then sum total of all the songs and poems that are composed in the world, and if you take out the ones about love, just take them out, how many songs are left? Hardly anything. This is who we are. We are meant to love and be loved. And when we're moved in the heart, we write songs about it. But here is the insight that makes ISKCON unique. That this longing for love is not a psychological accident. It's not even a biological imperative. It's a spiritual symptom. It is much deeper than even this bodily and the mental platform. It is something that's deep, eternal, and is related with the source of everything, which is God, Krishna. So Prabhupada taught that when love is misplaced, it becomes anxiety. When you place your affection in the wrong place, it actually becomes a source of anxiety. Try putting all your heart in money and see if you can escape the depths of despair and anxiety. You cannot. When you misplace love, it becomes anxiety. And when love becomes fragmented, I want this, I want that, then it becomes dissatisfaction. When love is centered on the temporary, it becomes fear. Because we are not temporary beings, but we repose our love, which is the core of our consciousness, on the temporary. And then necessarily we'll be stuck with fear. But the moment we realize who we actually are, there's a nice verse, it defines fear in the Bhagavatam. It says, Bhayam dvitiya abhiniveshita syat. That fear comes about when we repose our sense of identity on the secondary identification. What is the secondary identification? To think I'm this body. The moment we think I'm this body, the moment we act on that platform, fear becomes a concomitant factor. It becomes hitched to that idea. So when love is centered on the temporary, it becomes fear. That's a travesty when love transforms into fear. It's not good. So ISKCON philosophy proposes a simple solution. Reconnect love to its original source. That source is Krishna, the all-attractive. Krishna is not a sectarian name. It's not a god among many gods. Krishna is the all-attractive center of all existence. That is why people from every culture feel, this philosophy explains my heart. It's amazing. That's why it has such universal appeal. You don't need to force people to accept it. It just draws the connection. So ISKCON philosophy does not present God as merely a judge of our actions or merely the creator of the cosmos and everything we see, of merely a lawgiver that sets the rules of what's acceptable and what is moral. Yeah, those pieces may be part of it, but that's not the core of it at all. Krishna consciousness, the Krishna conscious philosophy, presents God as a person who desires relationship, who has desires, not just that we have desires and God has no desires. Krishna has desires and his primary desire is relationship. This is deeply compelling. Why is it compelling for us? Because humans do not seek rules first. Humans seek connection. In Krishna consciousness, we learn that Krishna is a friend. Krishna is a guide. Krishna is a protector. Krishna is the beloved. And that is why people chant. They chant Krishna's name. They chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This chanting reignites our eternal connection. This chanting is done as a gesture of love. That is why people chant. Not out of obligation, but out of longing. Maybe in the beginning when we're trying to understand the framework of it, we may chant out of obligation. We may chant because, hey, this is the system. Yes, let's do it. But eventually that connection is made and you do feel a heart longing for the Lord. And that activates, makes it this feeling front and center. And that's why we chant. And this is where Srila Prabhupada's genius shines. He did not begin with philosophy. He began with the sound. Why? Because sound, the sound vibration, which is spiritual, that holy name of Krishna, that sound bypasses cultural barriers, like language. It bypasses intellectual resistance. Go straight to the essence. the sound vibration bypasses even our emotional defenses that we've put to protect our selfishness. This Maha Mantra, this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, this great mantra, it requires no qualification. There are no prerequisites, no prior belief, no conversions. You simply chant and observe the effect. That's the scientific method. You try the experiment and observe. See if you can replicate it. See if it's reproducible. See if it works for other people. Observe the effect. So across the world, people have reported what? They reported feeling calm. A sense of clarity, sense of relief, sense of connection, sense of grounding. So ISKCON does not say, believe first, then experience. No. ISKCON says, experience first, and then understand. That is universal spirituality. This is what Prabhupada taught us. One evening, a young devotee was crying outside Prabhupada's room. His romantic relationship had collapsed. He felt betrayed. He felt empty, illusioned. Prabhupada called him inside. He didn't give him a lecture. He just listened. And then he said gently, "You're trying to love, but you're loving without Krishna." He explained that love is not wrong, but love, in our conditioned state, we tend to misdirect it on the wrong thing. So when love is centered on the temporary, it produces fear. When centered on Krishna, it produces stability. This incident is available. You can read about it. There's a set of books called Conversations with Srila Prabhupada. This is from 1973. So that devotee later on said, that one sentence completely rearranged my life. That's Prabhupada's philosophy. That's what's taught in ISKCON. Not repression, redirection. One time, the temple leaders, they were deeply worried about rent and finances, and they presented the reports. They discussed, their shortfalls. They're expressing anxiety. And Prabhupada was listening. He listened patiently. And then he laughed. He said, "Krishna owns everything. Why are you acting like orphans?" And the room fell silent. And then he added, "If Krishna wants this temple, he will maintain it. If he does not want, we will chant under a tree. It's okay." This is not abstract theology. Krishna presents God as personally involved, not distant. So this relational vision is deeply compelling to modern hearts. What I'm trying to explain here is the universality of Prabhupada's message and how pretty much everything he said and did was so heartwarming, so endearing, and so resonant with the depths of the core of our beings, if we just allow ourselves to understand. In Tompkins Square Park, that's right here in New York City, that's when Prabhupada, he sat alone on a bench in the earliest days. No crowd, no amplification, no program. He simply had a little bongo, and he beat on it, and he was chanting Hare Krishna. Simply chanted. And people gathered slowly. Not because they were Sanskrit scholars, and they thought, okay, let's learn something academic. No, because something felt real. The famous poet Allen Ginsberg, later on he admitted that chanting touched something deeper than politics or even art. Those are his words. It's an interesting angle. It's deeper than art. Prabhupada later explained that sound is the first sense to awaken our consciousness. So his teachings, they don't say believe, then chant. He says chant, then observe. We have that book called Chant and Be Happy. So that's not, you have to follow in that order. Not that first I'll somehow be happy, then I'll chant. No, chant. And then find happiness. Happiness will come. So basically the idea was chant and observe. And that's why it's spread without too much effort in persuasion. You don't need to persuade devotees. Hey, you don't have to. If once you taste it, the taste of the honey speaks for itself. There's only so many words you can use to describe taste of honey until you have to actually taste it. Now, of course, at that point, after some years, the movement grew very quickly. And despite running a global movement, Srila Prabhupada often cooked personally. One morning, devotees found him in the kitchen before dawn. He was cooking puris, these deep-fried puris, right? And the Prabhupada said, Prabhupada, you should rest. We can cook. And Prabhupada said, no, I'm your spiritual master. Feeding you is my duty. He was cooking for them. You see how much love he had. No, let me cook for you. But the movement has grown so big, you have so many servants. No, I want to cook for you. He's the guru who cooked. He's the one who taught discipline without coldness. You see, he always loved his students. He loved everyone. ISKCON attracts people because it combines high standards with deep affection. That's something. It is structure with warmth, if we do it right. Of course, those of us who are running ISKCON or helping ISKCON, it's incumbent upon us to understand what made Prabhupada successful and not deviate from that path. Let's also follow in his footsteps. Let's keep the high standards, but let's not forget the warmth, the deep affection we have for each other. These are cues. These are clues that Prabhupada left for us. We should worship each one of these with our hearts. In Soviet Russia, Prabhupada's books were illegal. It was Cold War. Devotees would copy them by hand. They didn't even risk printing anything. They would copy them by hand. And even that, they were risking imprisonment. And many devotees did get imprisoned. Some even died in prison because of that. But why were they doing that? Why were the devotees working so hard and risking that? It wasn't culture. It wasn't identity politics. It's because the philosophy really explained suffering. It explained identity, explained purpose. This history, you can look it up. There's a website called iskonhistory.org. So many details like this are there. It's the ISKCON History Project. Truth travels where culture cannot. You cannot stop the wave of truth. It'll keep flowing even underground. So if we step back for a moment and look honestly at what we've just heard, something extraordinary becomes clear. This philosophy did not spread because it was fashionable. It did not spread because it was easy. It's not easy. It spread because it is true. It speaks to the deepest questions that every human being carries, even when they don't know how to ask those questions. Who am I really? People don't ask typically those questions because we are just usually hiding behind the thoughts of a busy day. But if you put that aside, these are our questions in our heart. Who am I really? Why do I feel incomplete even when life seems to be successful? Where should my love finally rest? Prabhupada did not answer these questions with slogans. He answered them with a way of life, a way of seeing, and a way of loving. He crossed oceans not to gain followers, but to give people back their forgotten identity. He gave us a process that works in any country, in any language, any culture, any stage of life. because it works at the level of the soul, which has nothing to do with these other external labels. And the most astonishing thing is that Srila Prabhupada asked for nothing in return. No fame, no comfort, no security. Only that we try sincerely. This is called mercy in its purest form. Not mercy that flatters us, but mercy that lifts us. He didn't believe in flattery, but he was just so attractive. Why? Because the soul dances when you're in the proximity of a pure devotee. His mercy was not mercy that demands, but it was a form of mercy that waits patiently for us to turn toward it. Srila Prabhupada's gift is still alive. Every time somebody chants with attention, with affection, with feeling, his gift is alive. Every time someone opens his books and feels understood, oh wow, this is what I was looking for. His gift is alive. Every time a confused heart finds the direction that it's looking for, wow, now I know what to do with my life. That's when you know Prabhupada's gift is still alive. So even if one of us walks away today with a little more humility, a little more gratitude, a little more desire to live this truth, then Prabhupada's journey across the oceans continues. All glories to that brave champion, brave servant, the brave Senapati, the commander-in-chief of Krishna's armies. All glories to his boundless compassion. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you all very much for your kind attention and your valuable time. And my obeisances to you all again, all of you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Gurudev, do you have time for if anyone has any questions?
Yes.
Would you like to respond?
Absolutely. That'll be great. Sure.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask Gurudev?
Or comments.
Any comments?
Are you in New Jersey where it's 11 p.m. right now?
Oh, you can't. You have to.
Can you repeat it?
I'm going to repeat it. It was from Mukunda Prabhu. He wanted to know if you're in New Jersey where it's 11 p.m.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes. It's 11 p.m. right now. Yes. But my heart is in San Diego, so I'm
we feel your presence, Gurudev. We feel your presence. You know that saying 10 seconds of silence, Gurudev?
What's the 10 seconds of silence saying?
It means you wait for 10 seconds, and within that 10 seconds, someone will eventually speak. Oh. It's just uncomfortable. But if not, we will let you go.
I have a comment, by the way.
Eddie Prabhu has a
Yes.
comment.
That was beautifully spoken and very well heard.
Can you hear him, Prabhu?
He said it was beautifully spoken.
And wonderfully heard. Everybody's ears were open. It was beautiful.
Thank you, Eddie.
And my bed.
Hare Krishna.
Well,
Anybody want to share how Prabhupada moved their lives? In a couple of sentences. That'll be nice to hear. I think we want to celebrate Prabhupada's incredible mercy in our lives. Anybody want to share anything? I think that'll be nice. Yes.
Hare Krishna Gurudev, can you see me? I'm on camera.
Yes,
Okay.
I can see you, Nelson.
I was just like everyone else prior to coming to Krishna consciousness, trying to find happiness in the material world. And I got really frustrated and I felt lost. But thanks to Prabhupada, now I have direction in my life. And thank you, Gurudev. And to all the devotees who have brought me here. I know what to do when I wake up every morning. My alarm clock is purpose. And without Prabhupada and without ISKCON, I'd be lost in the sea of nescience. So I'm eternally grateful, and I'd like to dedicate my life to this movement. So thank you so much, Haribol.
Haribol. Thank you, Prabhu.
Haribol, Nelson Prabhu.
If no one has a question, I have a quick story. You have time for a quick story?
Govardhan?
No.
Oh, you're talking.
I'll tell a quick story about my Vartma Pradarshika,
Sure.
which is Govardhan Prabhu. He's sitting over there. I don't know if you can see Govardhan. Govardhan Prabhu and I, we were neighbors for 20 years, but we never made eye contact. We never talked to each other. We ignored each other, pretended it didn't exist. Directly across the street for 20 years. And growing up, age 10 to 30. And growing up, I saw that he was a gangster, and I did not want to associate with this gangster guy. But then I saw him gradually become more pure, and then eventually I saw that he was a monk. So long story short, I was in a period of depression, and I surrendered to God, and I said, God, please give me a sign. And the next day, Govardhan Prabhu appeared in front of my house, and my inner voice said, hey, this is your sign, why don't you go talk to him? So I talked to Govardhan Prabhu, and he perfectly answered my imperfect questions. And ever since then, I've been really into Krishna every day. I came to the next Krishna Lounge, and that was it. I read Science of Self-Realization, and it's been 2.5 years. So thank you, Govardhan Prabhu.
Amazing.
Krishna.
Govardhan Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Krishna.
Thank God he never spoke to you before he was a devotee, right?
Well, now he's a spiritual gangster, so.
Yes. Do you have a couple more minutes, Ferdie? I can tell you a quick story.
Yes, we would love that, Gurudev.
Okay. This is the time in Calcutta when Srila Prabhupada was a householder. Okay, he had family, of course, he had young children, and he was initiated. He was chanting his rounds and all that, but he was also doing business and maintaining a house and all that. So in the building that he was staying, there was another some rooms that were used by, I think, a brahmachari who was teaching Sanskrit, who was his godbrother, disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. His name was Dol Govind Shastri. Okay, and his Dol Govind Shastri, one day he just finished teaching the boys some Sanskrit, and he's coming out, and Prabhupada was coming, in. But that time his name was Abhay Babu. He just called him Abhay Babu. So then, he's just sitting and he's chanting on the steps. And Dol Govind comes out. He said, "Oh, Abhay Babu, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that in the future, Russians and Germans and French and Prussians, Prussians means like Germans, I guess. Prussians, Frenchmen, and Americans will raise their hands and chant Jai Sachinandana and shall chant Hare Krishna." And then Prabhupada said, "You have doubt?" I said, No, I don't have a doubt. But Englishmen and Russians and French? So he was asking a question without really asking a question. And Prabhupada said, "No, you should not doubt. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said, so it's going to happen." And then then Dol Govind was wrapping up, he started walking, and he turns around and says, "But how is that possible?" And Prabhupada looked at him, and he closed his eyes, and he says, "Some surrendered fool among Bhaktisiddhanta's disciples will do it." So then he turned around, and he's opening the door, and then he turned back again and he said, "Not you." Now, interestingly, the "not you" is used in Bengali. He used the plural "you." That means not you all. That means what? That means me. So at that point, don't go in there, because he teaches grammar. He understood right away, and he has this big universal form in his mind. Like, whoa, how's that possible? Not you all means him? This Abhay Babu, who is running up and down to Madras to buy pharmaceuticals and trying to make ends meet, and he's going to spread this all over the world? How is that possible? And so he was just trying to shake off that vision, but he could see clearly that Prabhupada was so determined that he's going to be the one. So that memory remained in his mind. Many years passed, right? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, after he left the planet, his organization kind of fell apart and fragmented. And this Govinda Shastri, he didn't want to get into the politics of that fragmentation, so he would just try to avoid all those leaders. And if you would see one of those sannyasis come nearby, he would just like buy a cigarette or a bidi to pretend he's fallen and like hold it in front of those guys, and they'll try to avoid him, and then when they would pass, he would throw it away and he'll do achaman to purify himself. It's like he really wanted to avoid the politics. So he's doing that, and he is crossing the street in a town called Cuttack in Orissa. Very crowded with those hand-pulled rickshaws. You can imagine it's a very busy street. And he saw in the distance, it's a big, strong-looking big guy, American, like white European, like looking person, but he had shaved head, he had a shikha, he had tilak, as if he was one of the Gaudiya Math devotees, and he had neck beads, and he was so surprised, and he crossed the street and ran to him and started shaking. Whoa! It's like a foreigner like you, and you got neck beads and tilak. He couldn't even formulate a sentence. How is this possible? And so this devotee, he says, well, what do you want to know? He said, who are you? He said, well, I am a disciple of, and he had a very thick American accent, so this poor fellow couldn't quite understand it. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And he said, I've heard of Notepad. I heard of Prabhupada. Anyway, right? So what is this? And so then he didn't know how to explain. So he pulled out a Back to God magazine, and he opened the front cover, and a big picture of Prabhupada smiling. And he said, Abhay Babu, oh my God, Abhay Babu, he said not you. And he's shaking this guy. He's saying, he said not you, not you. And he's trying to wonder what is wrong with this fellow. And so he asked him, my dear sir, what is your, who are you? And he says, I am a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Oh, wow, you're a disciple of my Guru Maharaj's Guru Maharaj. And then he jumped off and fell at his feet. And at this point, both of them are like in the middle of the road, and there's a huge traffic jam, right? So the point of the story is that Prabhupada was very confident that he's the one who's going to do it. Way before. And this devotee, Dol Govind Shastri, later on testified to this whole detailed thing. And he did not wait for somebody else to do it. That's the lesson to learn. He took it upon himself. Not that, Mahaprabhu has predicted and Bhaktivinoda Thakur has predicted, so it's going to happen. No. I'm going to take it upon my shoulders to make sure this every town and village prediction happens. That's why even at that late age, like he's going to the passport office, where's my P form? I'm coming every day. You got to give me the runaround. What is going on here? He worked really hard. He pushed really hard. He put aside his sleep to make sure that this prediction of Mahaprabhu comes to fruition. And he instilled that fire in all of us. He wants us to continue, because every town and village still hasn't been met yet. There are many towns and villages across the world that are still not seeing the Lord's name, not hearing it. That's now our duty and responsibility to extend Prabhupada's Lilamrit. His Lilamrit is not done yet. We are the ones who are writing the next chapter. So we can be inspired by his relentlessness and his purity to just be a little spark in his big fire. So let us find that in our hearts and celebrate Prabhupada every single day. I thought I'll share that story. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. Before we sign off, Gurudev. Are you sure?
Just hold it here. Yep. Hare Krishna, Madana-gopāla Prabhu. Thank you for your wonderful class glorifying Srila Prabhupada. And I just wanted to say we all look forward to seeing you here in San Diego soon. What is it, January?
Mid-January sometime. Yeah, we're very excited to come and see you again. Yes.
And you brought up so many wonderful points. Just the one you brought up was really great about how Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita is not over. I don't remember hearing that one, but it's a great point. But anyways, we look forward to seeing you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
And Gurudev, before we sign off, I just want to just to touch on your visit in San Diego on January 17th. I wanted to share with everyone that while there will be some special events happening while Gurudev is here. But prior to that, there will be some japa retreats that are going to be held. Virtual sessions January 5th and 6th between 6 and 7 p.m., as well as on January 12th and 13th between 6 and 7 p.m. And then when Gurudev arrives, His Grace Madana-gopāla will be having live sessions of japa retreats on January 17th between 4 to 6:30 p.m. And then on January 24th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We will have those printed and available for everyone so that they can also see them on paper. But lastly, I just want to say, Madana-gopāla, how honored and humbled, and we're so graced to have your presence tonight, especially at your 11 p.m. on the East Coast. And I do hope that everyone here present got just a small glimpse, probably a very large glimpse, of who you are in your heart and as a soul being, and why the 6 of your disciples in this room, Eddie, myself, Mahima, Vamsi, Kalpana, and Nelson, have all been just so blessed to have your wisdom and your guidance just being on this path and bringing us close to Krishna. So we are just so grateful to be with you, Madana-gopāla. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I'm very grateful to be able to serve you in some way, and look forward to seeing all of you when we get there next month. Hare Krishna. May obeisance.
Hare Krishna. Humble obeisances.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. See you soon. Hare Bol.
Wow.